Mhm. I'm gonna look it
Hello.
up right now. And the first I'm going to read is going to be He Is Not My President. One moment. Let's see, just a
Oh,
moment.
excellent. I'd like to introduce you first, if I may.
Oh, sure, sure. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So this is Alex S. Johnson. I'm the host of the Small Bear Show on YouTube, and I'm also an editor and publisher of Nocturnicorn Books. We're a boutique literary imprint. We publish um, anthologies that are, tributes to musicians like Bauhaus, Leonard Cohen. We did a Black Sabbath anthology. We're going to be doing a Beatles anthology coming up. Maybe I would love to, if you're into the Beatles, I would love to have something from you, Michelle. And I don't know how you feel about them, but I certainly am a fan for years.
I am too, and I'll tell you why.
Okay,
First of all, Paul McCartney and I are both born June 18th.
nice.
I know approximately how old he was when I was born. So if I say that, then I'll let you know how old I am. However, not only that, but hey, the song by the Beatles, Michelle, my belle. I mean, what
Someday,
can I say, right?
ils
What
vont
can I say?
très bien ensemble, très bien
What
ensemble.
can I say? I mean,
Yeah,
one day, if I were to meet Sir Paul McCartney and say to him, let's celebrate our birthdays, for I am born the same day as you are.
right. Yes, very much so. Yeah, yeah. Sir Paul is great. I mean, and he even wrote that, theme song for the James Bond movie, right? Live and
Oh,
let
living
die.
or die.
Yeah.
Dun,
Do-do-do,
dun.
do-do-do. But yeah, he's great, and he and Ozzy Osbourne are friends too. So, I mean,
Oh, no
a,
doubt, the
a,
British.
a lot of Black Sabbath is really inspired by the Beatles. I mean, especially Ozzy is a huge, particularly John Lennon fan. So, and it's
Okay.
if you really listen to his lyrics, you can tell right away how much of an influence the Beatles had on everybody. I mean, the Beats as well were a huge influence on the Beatles. So that's how they got their name, Beat Poetry.
Hmm, okay.
And
That's awesome to know too. I
that,
don't know the history about them very much, but I not as much. Like I know that that the song called "Twist and Shout" was
yeah,
written by the Isley Brothers. They sung that,
yeah,
So I think so they have different influences, and they've been from 1960s, and they broke up in the 70s, and
right.
I believe that the White Album was the last one, right? I think so.
It was actually, I believe it was Let It Be. Yeah,
I'm
with,
not certain.
but I'm not certain. And then they did another songs that they did some kind of, they're not really new songs, but they collaborated with John Lennon's tapes, right?
Okay.
So and then so yeah, they kind of they stopped touring, they stopped playing out in 1966, which is when I was born,
Mhm.
because they couldn't hear themselves over the screaming of their fans.
That's right. They're still loved. Even there's only two out of four now, but they're
Uh,
still a progressive, excellent group for
Did, did
centuries.
I mean,
Sure.
did you see on Facebook, like Ringo had his birthday like last week, and he did a special
Yes,
message for his fans. Did you see that?
yes, I did. I did.
Yeah, that was such a beautiful thing. The fact that Ringo makes himself available is, I think that's just the spirit of the band is much more than just any kind of music group. It's sort of like it speaks to people's lives. It's like it's profound. It's profound kind of um it's a because the music transforms us. We makes us feel like we have a reason to live. And so,
Yes,
like in your profession, having a reason to live is something, right? Um,
yes, it is.
so
I I, thank you for saying that because I've learned through this industry that I've been at for over 20 years that you must have the heart, patience, and drive, for it will certainly reflect within your work ethic and how you provide care. I
Yes.
mean, I've seen that happen with people. I've seen that with, for instance, people don't come to work, working a double shift.
Right.
People call off. And then in my heart, I just feel it's important, to continue because one day I'm going to be that age where I'm going to need care, and I hope and pray that how I take care of people will be reflecting how someone takes care of me if I need help.
Right. Yeah,
We all do, right?
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And it's
Thank
exactly,
you.
yeah, it's exactly right how I feel, because
Thank you
like
very much.
at the end of it, you know, we kind of like I think, caring for, my elderly parents, well, particularly my dad, it's
Mhm.
it's a very soulful thing and it's a very beautiful thing because you realize that these people who were kind of, you know, like gods to you, and then they become human, and you can still have the respect for them even if they're different now. Even if they don't have their faculties, it's the same person, right?
Yes, yes, it
Same
is.
soul, and
Yes,
that's
it is.
important.
Yeah, I mean, yes, they are, brother. Yes, they are.
You know,
Because um, working at a place like assisted living, for instance, and having the third floor that have people who have various types of dementias as well as assisted living. Because seniors, the average age for a senior is 85, and then ageism still exists in this country, and which is unfortunate. And I've learned by working with seniors and currently in my place of employment that they tell me so much about. I think about grandparents and great grandparents who are there, or even my parents to be there. They were in that setting for
right,
assisted living because, like I mentioned before, as a for instance, people who are older are still growing, getting older regardless.
right,
And all of a sudden, it's important. I mean, I remember before I became 50, getting bombarded with AARP. I'm still getting not bombarded with AARP, but AARP is a constant in my life because it talks about what people could do with seniors regarding their lives for volunteering or working or
yeah,
reentering the workforce. And it's so
yeah,
necessary that seniors are vital. And some people think that seniors are not vital. Like, well, let's put you to the side and we'll see you later, pops, or see you
right,
later, mama. That
yeah,
type of thing. So and it's not fair because seniors are vital. I'm not trying to segue into that subject, but that's what I've learned. That's what has taught me, in
yeah.
regards to working with the with people population because you never know who you're going to help, and there's no kindness is free. There should be no there should be
Exactly.
there should be no price for kindness.
Right, exactly. It's also really helped me to just like appreciate just
Hmm.
extremely simple things, right?
That's right.
So we have a friend named Mimi Pond. Mimi Pond is a graphic novelist and a cartoonist,
Okay.
and she's the one who wrote the first episode of The Simpsons, right? And
Oh.
The Simpsons, this is called Roasting on an Open Fire. And it was a Christmas episode, right? So we sat down and I interviewed Mimi about 4 days ago. I mean, it was the last interview I did, and she's a really, really, straight shooter. She says it like it is. She uses the swears.
Yeah.
She's a straight shooter. Excuse me. And so,
Sure.
so last night, my parents and I
Hmm.
sat down and we watched, or this podcast that she did where she was talking about The Simpsons and how the Simpsons. This is really interesting because you would think that somebody who was that, a big deal, like she wrote for like Designing Women and Pee Wee Herman and all that,
Great.
that
Great show.
yeah, all great shows. And I worked with like Betty White at one point, so I know, some of the actors and actresses in, Hollywood. And so she said that basically that the staff of the writing staff of The
Mhm.
Simpsons didn't want a woman on the staff. And I was shocked,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, especially when it's Marge and Lisa. They're women characters in that show.
Exactly, right? Exactly. Lisa Cav or whatever her name is, Lisa Kavner, who does Marge, and
Yeah.
Julie Kavner. Julie
Yeah,
Kavner.
Marge, her sister.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's so her sister, yeah, right. So I get them confused. So
Selma, don't you have twin sisters named Selma and somebody else? There's
right.
Marge, the mother, and then there's Lisa.
Yeah,
And then there's the twin sisters Selma, and they smoke cigarettes.
exactly,
And
exactly.
they had that horn. Rah, 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 rah.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah. They're so the best characters.
I think she has twin sisters. I think Marge has twin sisters. I
Yes,
think so. I'm not
yes,
sure.
exactly, exactly. Right, exactly. And so you make a
Hmm.
you made the same point I was going to make, which is like, the show is really it's a matriarchy, Homer is hapless and hopeless, and
Yes.
Bart is just, you feel for him because he's special
Hmm.
needs, right? So
Yeah.
Lisa and Marge run the family. So I think it's incredibly ironic that they didn't want a woman on the writing staff. Like, how do
Yeah,
they think that their base is, their
there
audience,
is no.
like, is
That
women?
that's right.
Yeah. So because it's about, I think that, I never understood why men feel threatened by women, because it's like, why wouldn't you want to support? Also, it's a lot sexier if you're supportive of women, right? I mean, you know what I mean? It's just basic intelligence. Use your intelligence. If you want to be popular with women, don't be a hater, just like use your common God-given.
Absolutely not. Why be a hater? Because we women are creators.
Your creators, your goddesses. Yeah, your
Thank
goddess.
you.
You know,
That's right.
Speaking of goddesses, I'm also doing a goddess book. So you're
Oh,
also welcome to that, because
okay.
you know what I mean? It's like, and in my world, black women are goddesses. And
Mhm.
so I salute you and say, hey, I mean, literally
Wow.
from the beginning of time, we all came from Africa, right? We all came from Lucy. So, so it's just like things like racism and sexism. And it's just like, so you want to pollute the whale that you came from. You want to pollute the stream you came from, right? You want to, people like Trump are like hating on everybody who isn't a white man, but it's like, where do you think you came from? And
Uh,
you can't. We all came from a black woman, so it's
yes, yes, her name is Lucy. That's right.
just time to like say, okay. But I need to shut up now, because I talked to a literal black woman. I'm mansplaining to a black woman, and so so tell me more about your how your poetry and your nonfiction sort of came out of your work. And I also I believe that you did some writing about the LA riots.
Yes, I did. I did writing about the LA riots through Los Angeles Poet Society Press. There's a book called Justice to the People, and that book's talked about George Floyd in regards to what happened 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's an anthology that was written in regards to what happened during the rights of people of color, civil rights, and injustice for all people of color in America by focusing on George Floyd, because the whole of America was a display from a small town and small, Minnesota, state of Minnesota, and how racism became more progressive and more unattractive and more ugly. And we saw that happening, and that whole show was just horrible. The whole aspect of things was just a bad situation where, and even though it's 2020, that people of color are still second class citizens, and that was for the focus of that book. And that was 2020. However, in 19, excuse me, in 2017, another book from Thistle Arts, which is another anthology known as an anthology called Remembering the Riots, an anthology
Hmm.
that was written for the 25th anniversary of Rodney King, and they
Yes.
write about things that happened in Los Angeles because even though that happened in Los Angeles, like what happened in Minnesota, that was also around the world about how racism and injustice still happens to people of color. And both these gentlemen, George Floyd and Rodney King, are African American or Black American men in this country, and how the injustices still occur. So that being created by digital arts gave me to write. I wrote poems about that in regards to that injustice because injustice. There's a Martin Luther King quote that I hope I'm saying it correctly. That justice anywhere is justice everywhere. Yes, justice anywhere is justice everywhere. I mean, injustice everywhere is injustice everywhere, or something like that. I need to
Yeah.
look that up again. But he wrote that, and all three of these gentlemen, even though Dr. King was assassinated in 1968, Rodney King was beat up in 1992, and then George Floyd was killed on TV. All these gentlemen are people of color, progressive African American or black men who have been served injustly with injustice, and people of color are still being served with injustice, regardless of how America has progressed and how things are occurred for this country. And that's unfortunate because now, with the political times that we're living in, we see racial profiling not just happening to one aspect of a people, but an ethnic and racial group, an ethnic group, and a culture, and it's all relative because now the spotlight is on other people now, based on we know what's happening in this country with the political climate with Trump and his aspect of wanting to get everybody out of here who's not legal or in or undocumented.
Yeah.
And just like then that's also an injustice because there are people who are law-abiding citizens, work hard, pay taxes, and are continuing to live and to continue. Yet, just like what happened to African American or Black people in this country, living in fear.
Right.
It's sort of it parallels. And unfortunately, second-class citizens being treated as an equal second-class citizen, as well as the injustice. These are all injustices, as well as determining if you're going to get up in the morning and be okay.
Right.
If you're
Exactly.
going to if you're going to be able to go back to your home, or
Exactly.
you're going to be able to go back to where you came from when you walked out of your house or where you came from,
Yes.
because some people don't come back. It's the
Right.
same. It parallels because both African American and Black people. There's history of this pre and post, pre, during, and post civil rights, as well as the Latino people in this country, both have
Right.
the dual thing of this: are being treated with injustice, are being treated like criminals based upon what you have the right to live in this country like everybody else, American or not American. Now, if you are a person that would achieving your citizenship and you do that and do things the way they are to be done according to what the laws say. That's
Yeah.
one thing. However, we can't say who's doing this and who's doing that. You're here to America to survive, and you've had to do what you have to do to survive. And
Right.
working and using an ITIN number and paying taxes, putting groceries. You out there. I mean, I'm gonna say another thing too. For African American or Black people in this country to be picking cotton in our plantations. It's the same way with the the people who are Latino who have the produce,
Right.
picking their fruits and vegetables on the table to go to a store,
Right.
picking cotton to make things nice, picking cotton as an industry. Those are both industries. Both people of color here represent that,
Right.
past, present, and future.
Yeah.
There's no more cotton picking, but there certainly is produce to be picked up, and cotton back in that time is it parallels and is dual. This
Exactly.
is now a different century,
Right.
so both people of color and ethnicities are being affected, and all of this affects everybody. In California, the Department of Public Social Services, at least in Los Angeles anyway, I received an email that says that people who are undocumented and illegal are not going to be able to receive services from
What?
the Department of Public. No, they're not going to be able to receive any services from
Oh,
the Department of Public Social Services, health, medicine.
that is
God
sick.
forbid, somebody,
That's
isn't
sick.
that isn't that awful? And see, the thing about that is this: if you have somebody who is ill cannot receive services to buy medication or be seen for a chronic and or acute or chronic condition, that affects everybody.
Yes.
It brings disease, it brings illness, it brings everybody. It directly or directly, indirectly or directly affects you. Why should people who are not legal in this country, why should they not be taken care of for a health concern or a health risk? That isn't fair. What about the human risk that brings to us?
Yes.
Because everybody's going to be affected. You know what happened with COVID. I'm not saying that as a for instance, but that happening, all we need to do is have, well, hey, they brought that here. I'm just saying this. I don't believe. I'm just saying how people can be ignorant. Well, hey, if they weren't here, this wouldn't have happened. Or if this wouldn't have happened, this wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Well, she
Exactly.
shouldn't have done that because where she come from. That's
Right.
just ridiculous. It's just like what's happened in Texas. When the floods happened in Texas last week, Mexican people came there to help that flood waters.
Right.
Governor Abbott, what did he say? My hands are tied. Your hands are tied,
Oh,
really? Your hands are tied, and Trump didn't do anything. In fact, I think Trump was somewhere else. Trump was elsewhere when this was happening in Texas. This situation, this sad weather situation. He wasn't involved with funding for things for what was happening in Texas immediately. There was no National Guard. There was no military presence to help with that. But people from over the border came to help. It doesn't matter about foreign or illegal, American or undocumented. It's a human need,
right.
and they help, and they helped.
Right.
You know, I mean, they came over the border to help people in Texas through the waters. The waters were ravaging horribly.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if you see that, it's frightening. I mean, and so many people, so many innocent, so many children, boys and girls at camp. People were working. African American man was delivering medications in a small town in Texas. He
Yes.
died.
Right.
Um, the gentleman, the owner of the camp, and his wife, I believe, I know the owner died. They showed him, and then ironically, the name of the camp is called Camp Mystic.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Right.
What irony, huh? So
Yeah.
anyway, but sadly, over 100 people did die, and who knows how many more are missing.
Yeah.
This is terrible how this political climate has brought things because it's still it's horrible. I cannot believe that a Governor Abbott is going to throw his hands up in the air and go, "My hands are tied. Give me a break."
Right.
How can you say your hands are tied? You're a governor. You're supposed to be a leader.
Exactly.
People, you have constituents to help. Yeah,
Yeah.
constituents put you there. My
Right.
hands are tied. Shame on you, Trump. Shame on you.
Thank you.
This is
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. And it's awful. I've never been to Texas. I'd like to go to Texas someday, but not this week. I mean, I'd like to sometime, but
Yeah.
not. But it's really sad also. What how the politics in this country and the politics are affecting people's minds in regards to the politics of this country have brought racism. That is obvious and hypocrisy too. I mean, you're going to talk about somebody who, oh, well, Mexicans are taking over jobs. Well, people are Latino people are taking over jobs, right?
Really. Yeah.
Well, they're the ones that are picking your fruits and vegetables. Would
Exactly.
you do that for what they receive and live in a farm?
Oh, hell no. Right.
So therefore, don't tell them they're taking jobs. They're doing the job. No, they're not taking jobs. They're doing the job you don't want to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, you're gonna go on the street and do a pop up shop for some for street tacos or mix some pupusas. You
I
know?
was going to get into that. I was going to get into that because
Okay.
when I was when I first came out to LA, I was living with my then girlfriend's parents in Mount Washington, and her dad was a big time like ad agency guy. He started out in Wilshire Boulevard, and then he like he took his business, and then he went to Eagle Rock, right? Of all places, he went he rented space in this industrial warehouse in Eagle Rock of all places. And
Okay.
it's so so I was like helping out with like day laboring, and we were, putting up drywall and all this stuff, and just making this place, nice,
Mhm.
so that we could have like these big time clients, because he had like Warner Brothers, and
Wow.
so I know I just observed that, they had a sweatshop in the building itself. So when we would take an industrial, like a freight elevator up to to his um his where he had the ad agency. And so you'd see these, Mexicans, they'd be just, working for slave wages, right? And and then you would go down on your break and day laboring with, Mexicanos, and people that are supposedly our enemy, right? That when they're trying to take our jobs. Well, felt very privileged to be working alongside them, right? You go down and you go to the taco truck. You get your lunch from the taco truck, and this is the best food you will ever eat. And I've eaten like at five-star restaurants in Paris, and this is, some tacos, the taco truck, right? So people who
Right.
know, who have never been to LA and they haven't experienced the taco truck, they just don't know.
No, they don't. They don't know that the food is que rico con tacos y burritos y it's delicious. I mean, the aroma of the food is delicious. Just
Right?
like, the food of selling bacon wrapped hot dogs.
Yes.
It's the aroma and the smell and it's the deliciousness of the food.
Yes.
Queso Puerto Rico para los tacos, and it's delicious, and that's the way that the livings are made. But yet you're going to talk about that this ethnic group, this La Raza, is taking over jobs.
Right. Please.
I mean, it's not right. It's not fair where that's happening, and it's not fair that um, I mean, day laborers are hustlers. They have families.
Exactly.
They have families to feed, a wife, child, children. At least, and they're skilled. People are skilled,
Yes.
and so you know, we have a choice. You want to get stuff done, you're either going to hire a day laborer or do some other ways and means and stuff that's important. But at the same time, it's efficient work, and sincere work. You agree on a decent wage, barter for that, and unfortunately, you had mentioned about the slave wages, that people think they can take advantage of somebody who can have a wage and will accept that and not barter that or what have you,
Yeah.
or say, but because there's a mutual point. You have the work, the demand and the supply. He's out there versus hiring somebody with a labor wage per hour,
Right.
and that's a decision that's made upon that, and hopefully and prayerfully it'll be a mutual benefit.
Right.
Because because it's important to have that type of work where it's necessary, um, to have the to have that work and, representation, representation. I'll check it today. Thank you. And that representation in regards to that, because it's important that to work together and
Yes.
necessary. And it's not fair in this country that people are being racially pigeonholed and stereotyped who are bronze and brown.
Exactly.
And talking about the Latino or Hispanic community.
Right.
It's not fair that African American or Black people in this country, Black Americans are being pigeonholed and stereotyped. And it's also African Latinos too.
Right.
That also are represented,
Yes.
are to be represented also. So this country is a melting pot, and no illegal is on. No, there are no illegals on stolen land. So that's what I take from that too, because it's not fair where people who are honest, hardworking people who want to earn a decent wage hustling and not hustling, who pay with ITINs, pay taxes, are still God knows what will be tomorrow if they're caught
Yeah.
somewhere. It's not.
Right.
It's not right, and it's not, and that's criminal. And people might think I'm wrong in saying that, but you know, culture teaches a lot. Working together for the cultures and culturally works together because there's more things we have in common than not in common,
Yeah.
and that's important and that's necessary. And like I said, it doesn't cost to be kind. Kind of, it doesn't cost. It shouldn't cost to be kind.
Yeah.
So, and that makes me feel as if you know, I'm tired of hearing about the ice this, ice that. Now we got kidnappers and bounty hunters and people
Yeah.
wearing the same fatigues. You can't tell who's who. They're mirroring the same uniform by the same look. And intimidating people.
Yes.
It's frightening. It's frightening because I think he wants to come after everybody. I mean, when he mentioned about the birthright of people who are not born in this country, though that man, that dotard, should look at
Thank you.
you should look at his first and third wife.
Right.
Those wives weren't citizens. Ivanka, well, she's from Czechoslovakia, and I forgot where Melania is from. But
Yeah.
if he's gonna do that, if he's gonna do that first birthright nonsense, he needs to
Right.
look at his own mirror. I mean, he shouldn't be throwing glass houses at no stones. I
Exactly.
mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
the Bible, I don't know the biblical word, but the biblical quote that goes, the biblical verse. Why don't talk about the speck of my eye, talk about the speck in your own eye. Okay? So in
Exactly.
other words,
Like in your
you
own.
know,
Yeah. Exactly.
and yeah, that's right. So he who throws the first stone cast, right? So therefore, I mean, oh, I want the birth. I mean, in regards to the birthright of the
Yeah.
firstborn. That means Donald Trump first,
Yes.
Donald Jr. That means Barron, right? So therefore,
Exactly.
those sons of his are
Yeah.
firstborn birthright, right? Thank you. How
Yeah.
dare you, Trump? How dare you?
Right.
I said, wow, isn't that something? I mean, they both had duals. I mean, both his set of kids, the first and third marriage, those children, those four kids of his, have dual citizenship
Exactly.
because their mothers are from European countries. They have dual citizenship, but he doesn't know that because he's stupid.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
mean, he's ignorant. I mean, I find him to be the worst Gemini on the planet. He is the worst Gemini on the planet. He's born Flag Day, June 14th, 1946,
Yes.
Queens, New York. And for him to represent the Gemini astrological sign, oh, brother. Anyway,
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
That reminds me, I wanted to ask you, you have an autistic son.
Yes, I do.
And so, like I am on the spectrum, and so is Ellen Maybe, and so Emily Frank is definitely, and we
Okay.
also have our friend Spencer Griffin, and I have a beautiful friend in Scotland named Carmela Voyes. We have, Christina Deptula, right? No,
I've heard the name, but I have not met her in person. But I have met Spencer Griffin and Ellen Maybe, yes.
yes, yes, and they're right, beautiful people. I mean, Ellen is so neurodivergent, and she's such a beautiful, right? She's so beautiful. I mean, it's like I'm really a very strong advocate for autism because I think that autism is a gift. You know,
Yes, it is.
not it's not a disability, it's a gift. It's a beautiful gift. And I just want to I just want to say that. Could you could you talk about your son, please?
Yeah. Well, my son's name is Chris. He is my creative, happy, righteous, intriguing social soul. My son, he is 39-year-old autistic young man. He's a self-taught hair braider. He's an artist at the Exceptional Children's Art South LA Art Studio. He's a self-taught hair braider. I had never once sat with him on how to do cornrows and extensions. He has current clients now. Not now, but he currently has clients. Christopher loves to travel on cruises. He's a social butterfly. He volunteers at Lake Avenue Church for the coffee. I mean, for the coffee connection at one point, as well as the community meal. We both have done that. when it comes to Shepherd's class, that is at Lake Avenue Church in Pasadena. He is a leader, and people really truly care about him. They care about the people at Lake Avenue. There's a class called Shepherd's Class for adults with disabilities to
Mhm.
learn and fellowship about the Lord. And twice a year, they do give a concert. They do the lead worship for singing songs, and it's wonderful to see that rainbow of people with all types of disabilities, um, who have different challenges of disability, because it's a unity.
Yes,
It's the answer to DEI, diverse, equity, as well as inclusion.
yes,
And that's important to have that if you know, for your faith in the Lord, because the lifelong living journey that my son and I have together, we are a team. And I'm just glad that is autism is accepted this month. Autism Awareness Month in April, light up blue with the blue light bulbs. It's relevant and important because autism does not discriminate against color, ethnic group, race, background, social, economic, as well as you are in the world. It is a global aspect of life and love.
yeah,
And it's important to know that and receive that. There are many people, I don't know the population, but when he was diagnosed with autism, it was one of 150 or
Mhm.
one of 140, in 1988 when he was diagnosed with autism. And I'm happy and proud to know about my son. I love my son to the
Yeah.
moon and back, and he makes my heart sing. And he's a beautiful soul.
I can
He
tell.
really is a beautiful
Beautiful.
soul, and he
Yeah.
is. And I'm not just saying that because I'm his mom, but that's how he is. And
Yeah.
he.
One thing, how I started to begin to understand how neurodivergent Ellen Maybe is. So we started out, I invited her onto the show, right? And we did some shows with other people. The very first time that I had her on the show, everybody else got exhausted and they left after like 2 hours.
Oh,
Ellen and I literally did the show on Zoom for 9.5 hours straight.
wow.
And
Wow.
eventually she said, I think I need to get something to eat. And she was literally sitting there in the dark. I was like, Ellen, now you realize that you need to get something to eat. She was like, yeah, I need to get some food. And I was like, okay. But it was so, see, the thing is, I think it must be an autism thing because like she has no sense of time. So and neither do I. We're sitting here and we're grooving on each other and we're just spinning off, each other's like poetry and ideas and enthusiasm for animals and all kinds of stuff, right? She's really into Stephen Sondheim. And
Oh,
I
really?
and I
Oh,
think
that's okay.
kind of almost like I don't want to characterize her as autistic because unless she were to say that, but Emily Frank is definitely autistic, and she says that Ellen is on the spectrum, and so am I. And but one characteristic of it, I think, is just being having having deep interests that you really get into. And what I've never understood about, people put down autism, autistics as saying like, well, they've got a narrow range of interests that they're really into. Well, yeah, those have become the scientists. They become professors. They become, like surgeons. They become people that you count on if you want some super smart shit. If you want like to be diagnosed, the next person who diagnoses, cancer, finds a cure for cancer is going to be autistic. My ex brother-in-law, he must be on the spectrum at least. He became a professor of biochemistry at Cornell.
That's
You know,
fascinating.
right? And he is
Right.
totally autistic. So a lot of autistic people are absolute geniuses. I don't need to tell you that. And so it's like I think like Greta Thunberg is amazing, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
it's this
The thing, yeah.
beautiful
Major.
light for us.
Yes.
Um,
That's true. And
I
if you
would,
don't, you know,
yeah.
there's a show called Have you heard of the show called The Good Doctor?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, that's really a great show. That I like to watch because it just helps me to realize that there's no limit. There's no what they can do versus what they can do.
Right.
You know, in regards to people who are on the spectrum or ASD, and no limit. Um, I found out about how autism, not how it began, but 2020 had a show. They were the first person that was diagnosed with autism in the South. His name was Donald Triplett.
Okay.
He either lived in Georgia or Alabama. I don't remember. But he was first, but he was it was 1940s.
Mhm.
And autism, if you look at the word autism, if you it's you know that's a medical term too.
Right.
AUT means one, and ism is condition of. So it means condition of one. If
Interesting.
you look it up as a medical word. And so Donald Triplett's parents were advised to have him go to a sanatorium or an
Right.
institution, and the parents refused. So he lived in a town, either Georgia or Alabama in the South. He learned how to drive, play golf, and he had a job, and he held a job. And people in the community embraced him even after his parents had passed away. And he did pass away. He was in his 80s. I don't remember when he passed away in 2020, 20 or 2010. I don't remember that decade, but he did pass away in this century. So this is interesting to hear about him and his life and to his parents and how they, long before IEPs, long before FAVE, which stands for the free and public education, long before 501, and those laws that were even the Department of Education being integrated for education and
Right.
IEPs. So that's just groundbreaking. And I also learned about a gentleman by the name of Tom Wiggins. In the 1880s, post slavery, he was blind and autistic and a slave.
Wow.
And he played music by ear, and he was not taught how to play piano by his owners. He did it by ear and by hearing,
Yeah.
even though he was blind, and also he played the piano beautifully. He was a prodigy, and he was born at that time. And during the time he was born, I don't remember when he was born, but it was during slavery time that there was a discovery about him, and his name is Tom Wiggins. I
I'll,
thought that was interesting. Also, they say that Albert Einstein was autistic. You know, there's also some actors too.
right.
Dan Aykroyd,
Dan
Dan
Aykroyd
Aykroyd,
and Anthony.
and Abby Hopkins,
Yes.
Daryl Hannah,
Right.
and I don't know how many more there are, but autism should there's no limit to what our loved ones and carers of people with autism are. You know, and it's important to to embrace their differences and their abilities because they are just as deserving as anyone else in this country to be loved and cherished.
I agree. I actually wanted to tell you something, which is just a beautiful thing, how I got into I didn't really set out to be involved with disability rights or autism or just you know being aware. I think becoming aware that I'm special, like I have a specific learning disability, right? What I
Hmm.
share with Emily and with Ellen Maybe.
Okay.
And it's called dyscalculia. So we have a hard time with math. We have a hard time. I'm going to show you a very specific example of what I'm talking about because
Okay.
when you see this, you'll say, aha. So it has to do with sequencing. And I'm looking for my copy of Glassblower's Museum. I think I'll just show this to you. So um well, maybe I won't be able to. Okay, so I'll tell you the other story. So
Okay.
so when I was living in Torrance, and I was working for this boutique secretarial service called EDA.
Yeah.
And our clients, two of our clients were, one of them was Betty White, and the other
Mhm.
one was Tom Sullivan, right? When I grew up, you remember Tom Sullivan, right? I mean, like when I grew up, I remember reading his book, Adventures in Darkness, and there was also like a children's version of it. It was like a young
Oh,
adult,
thank you for sharing that.
right? And and
Right.
and and I was just blown away that, the first time that we talked, because he was so respectful, and I was like thinking, well, this guy won two Emmy Awards. I mean, he had
Oh,
literally, like, they created an entire characters for him on like Mork and Mindy and WKRP in Cincinnati and all these shows, right?
no,
He was
yes.
in Airport 77 with Jimmy Stewart, right? And I was just like, oh my God, Tom Sullivan, you're so amazing. He's like, just shut up. First of all, he said, okay, so I know you're a writer. You want to be a writer, or you are a writer because Marjorie Judge, the owner, said, okay, you're a good writer. She's read your work. So what I want
Okay.
you to do, he said, is I want you to edit my book. And I was like, damn. Are you sure? Because we're talking about a guy who's, you know, I mean, his one of his books was made into a movie, If You Could See What I Hear.
Okay.
That was like a New York Times bestseller. I'm trying to see if I have a copy of Seeing Lessons. So the book that he set me to edit was called Seeing Lessons, 14 Life Secrets I've Learned Along the Way. And starts out, he's talking about when he was a little kid, his parents sent him to this special boarding school for blind people, right? And they
Hmm.
were visited by Helen Keller. And at the time, a very young Tom Sullivan, he could maybe 10, 12, years old, was listening to some rock and roll. And at the time, of course, that was considered to be the devil's music. And so
Okay.
the people who ran the boarding house there, or the special school for blind people, they were like, or blind children, were like, okay, Tom, you can't come out and see Helen Keller. They punished him. And
Mhm.
so then Helen Keller was talking to the owners and talking to some of the children, and and um and they told Helen, okay, so we've got one very bad boy. He's not allowed to see you. And Helen asked, well, what did he do? And he said, he was listening to rock and roll. And so she said, bring him out, right? So they brought out Tom Sullivan reluctantly. And she said, are you a very bad little boy? You were listening to rock and roll? He said, I love rock and roll. And she said, great, it's good music. And um, so that, put paid to that situation. And then later
Okay.
in his life, I think he was kind of feeling a bit discouraged and sorry for himself. And I forget the exact
Oh,
circumstances, but he had an encounter, a meeting with Martin Luther King Jr., and Martin straightened him out, right? He said, okay,
okay.
so you're just because you're blind, right, doesn't mean that you can feel sorry for yourself, right?
Okay.
Because you're a genius, you're brilliant,
Right.
and you can contribute to society. So stop it, right? Stop this nonsense, right?
Right. Right.
And at various points in his life, he had these encounters with these amazing, some of the most amazing people who ever lived, right? Martin and Muhammad Ali, and
Right.
they really kind of, you know, put out they mentored him. They brought him up, and so he'd always had the fire in him. He wanted, because he's Irish, right? And he wanted
Mhm.
to show that he could be just as good, if not better, than anybody else. He's a very competitive guy, right? And so
Right.
it was a true honor to work with him, and he made me his editor. He said, he didn't give me a choice. He said, "You're going to edit my book." And then when
Mhm.
he and Betty White were working on this book called The Leading Lady Diana Story, which is about their companion animal, and so then I worked on that too. And so
Okay.
I got to work with two icons of
Wow.
of our time, really. So, and that's how I got the confidence that I knew I could edit a book, and not just any
Hmm.
book, but one that was like blurbed by everybody, from Betty White to Peter Coors.
Okay.
As a runaway bestseller. He went on Oprah, and so
Hmm.
it's like that's how I got my a foot up, from Tom Sullivan and Betty White.
Okay.
I
That's
just want to share.
awesome. That's awesome, Alex. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So do you want to, like, maybe could you please read some of your poetry?
Sure, I'll be glad to. Just a moment. Let me get that right up, coming up. Wait a moment, please. Let's see. I'm going to read this poem in regards to the presidency, how I feel, my opinion. I wrote this when I did find out that he won. My poem is called He's Not My President. He's not my president. God help America, for it will become hell in a handbasket under the United States of America, under his felonious and fascist leadership. For he is a troubled, tyrannical, racist, repugnant, unintelligible, misogynist monster pig. He is a buffoon in the navy blue size too small suit, round, rotund, white shirt belly, and mega necktie, just up for just up for that all-American McDonald's Big Mac meal. Don't forget the blonde haystack now. That Tube hairdo. It seems he pasted on. What a Looney Tune! The commander in chief pontificates conversation with that Big Apple accent. That one day I will visit again, all five boroughs, and take a bite. Crunch. Does he even know the three branches of the government? Can he even pass a citizenship civics test? With his narcissistic ways to circumvent the patriotic red, white, and blue. His winning is Trump's hangover. America, KKK, under his leadership will need more than a four-leaf clover. President 45, 47, and MAGA Part 2, supporters of the sheep, bad, bad, and voted him in. For he is the worst Gemini on the planet. Sheep, don't complain when Trump pins into law a life of comfort, cause, and change you had and is now slaughtered, especially for the voting apathetic that chose not to bother. Oh, what a mighty web we weave in order to deceive. I repeat that. Oh, what a mighty web Trump weaves in order to deceive. Time and Trump will tell, and the USA shall see the Estonian nation's flags waving. Blue will win the war. Democrats, red won the battle. Blue will win the war. Democrats are the donkey. Republicans are the elephants. But Trump is a real jackass. For he is not my president. And he still is a troubled, tyrannical, racist Republican, racist, repugnant, unintelligible, misogynist pig. Dun, 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 dun.
That's lovely. That was so good. That was so good. Oh my
Thank
God.
you.
That was so brilliant. Yeah, man. Wow. I had you kind of remind me of, do you know Vanilla Flag v. Kali at all? Her work, because she was
Sounds familiar. She
she
sounds familiar.
she
Maybe by face, but I don't know.
I met her when I first read it at Beyond Broke. She's a wonderful African American poet and really big in LA poetry. I don't know if she's still around, but she's a really nice person. I mean, she's really nice to me too. So anyway, it just kind of reminded me of her stuff, because she did a lot of social justice things. But also
Awesome.
you got an incredible sense of humor, and
Thank you.
I love it so much. Like the rotund. Would you mind repeating, like the chorus, whatever you want to call it, with the rotund thing?
Oh, sure. Just a moment. Just a moment. He is a buffoon in the navy blue size too small suit, round white shirt belly, and MAGA red necktie, dressed up for all that all American big McDonald's Big Mac meal. Don't forget that blonde haystack, toupee hairdo. It seems to be pasted on. What a Looney Tune! The commander in thief pontificates conversation with that big apple accent that one day I will visit again. All fat burrows and take a bite. Crunch.
Crunch.
Does he even know? Does he even know the three branches of the government? Can he even pass a U.S. citizenship civics test with his narcissistic ways to circumvent the patriotic red, white, and blue? His winning is Trump's hangover. America and his leadership will need more than a four-leaf clover. President 4547 and MAGA Part 2, supporters are the sheep. Again, supporters are the sheep. Bad, bad. And voted him in. For he is the worst Gemini on the planet. Sheep, don't complain when Trump pins into law a life of comfort, cause, and change you once had and is now slaughtered, especially for the voting apathetic that chose not to bother. Oh, what a mighty web we weave in order to deceive. I repeat that. Oh, what a mighty web Trump weaved in order to deceive. Time and Trump will tell, and the United States shall see the Estonian nation's flag waving. Red won the battle. Blue will win the war. Democrats are the donkey. Republicans are the elephants. But Trump is a true jackass.
Ah,
For he is not my president. And he still is a troubled, tyrannical, racist, repugnant, and unintelligible, misogynist monster pig. Dun, 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 dun.
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It also reminds me, what didn't Nikki Giovanni have a collection called Gemini, or am I completely off base?
I need to look that up, but
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
and I'm glad that I don't know when she passed away. I know it was within the last 5 years or so, I believe,
Yeah.
maybe last year. But to know that she realized that Trump was also president, that's why I say Trump's hangover
Trump's
and
hangover.
how this country's run. Because I just but I just thought when he won again, I thought this is ridiculous. I mean, I thought why it was frustrating. It would have been wonderful to see Harris win because I don't think people want to see a woman win because she is a woman, a female, and
Yeah.
a woman who is of Jamaican and Indian descent, American of Jamaican father and an Indian mother,
Right.
and East Indian mother. So therefore, was that the problem? A person of color versus, if I'm wrong, let me know, versus a WASP or
Yeah.
white Anglo-Saxon president, twice. I mean, he's only for the elitist, the 1%, because because Medi-Cal, it's not benefits for eating, you're going to make people unhealthy and hungry.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, based on how Congress and the Senate voted for that, and that's not fair. And I went to an event last month, Project Voices of America, in regards to Medi-Cal not being slashed. My son and I actually went to Senate and Assembly people in Sacramento in May to say why it's important to have Medi-Cal not be slashed and cut.
Right.
Because if you, in California, there's a program called IHSS known as In-Home Supportive Services.
Hmm.
To receive in-home supportive services, you have to qualify for Medi-Cal.
Right.
And Medi-Cal is a requirement. If you don't have Medi-Cal, how is that going to be supported?
Right.
Because Medi-Cal is one of the requirements for that service. And IHSS helps people who are blind, elderly, and disabled to reside and live in their homes versus going to a group home
Right.
or a nursing home or
Right.
a convalescent hospital, which can be very expensive. And if Medi-Cal we sell medicals on the chopping block. How are people going to afford these places to sustain their life treatment?
Right.
Because not everybody can live in a circumstance, can live in a place like that to where they need that kind of help. It's very expensive to, I mean, the expense, if you're able to live in your own home
Yes.
versus paying for a place that has a bed and acute care and chronic care. If you're able to live in your home and be as independent as possible, isn't that what we want for our loved ones with disabilities? And that's a program for IHSS.
Yeah.
IHSS has existed since the 70s. I don't know the exact year, but it's important for that to be a mainstay
Yeah.
for people who with disabilities, blind and aged and disabled to
Yeah.
live in their home versus going to a place where you don't have to have 24/7 round the clock care. That's if you need that versus being at home and independent. And
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that Medi-Cal and Medicare, I mean that Medicaid, which is called Medicaid everywhere else, but in America, but in California, it's Medi-Cal,
Mhm.
it's being slashed. And I mean, I forgot, I don't remember the lady's name, but I think her name was Ann Mac something. She mentioned recently that 34 million able-bodied people in Medi-Cal are going to have to not be on that program.
That is
Not
insane.
everybody, I don't remember her name, but not everybody who has Medi-Cal is able-bodied. What are you going to do? Divide, and write a name, a big list saying able-bodied, not
Right.
able-bodied. I mean, this affects people because,
That's crazy.
again, it is crazy, and sadly, um, and for Department of Social, the DPSS, the undocumented and illegal are not going to be able to receive medical that type of medical help, and that's terrible.
That is, and we have,
That's a huge problem. That is a big problem. And then also I also read that people who are undocumented and illegal that they don't go to their health departments anymore.
right.
They don't get medical treatment because they're afraid of being gone,
Yes.
disappearing.
Disappeared exactly, but kidnapped and
Yeah,
tortured.
kidnapped and gone somewhere else and gone to another state.
Right. Yeah. So
That is so frightening and it's painful and it's hurtful to hear that because of the fact that they need help also and we all need help and it's not fair and I don't know because this affects everybody. What indirectly or directly you're affected by all this.
yes, exactly.
We all are,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
and it's not fair. And it's criminal.
It
It
is
is.
it's criminal. I agree. I actually wanted to read a poem that I wrote back in
Okay.
2017, and
Hmm.
it's called Trumpland.
Okay. All right.
This okay. So um, dance, dance, dance to the song they're playing on the Sieg High Fidelis
All right.
in stereo forever, stoned on alt-right fever. Are you a true believer? Catch the latest hits. Do the genocide. See boys and girls catch fire. Take all of our amusing rides. Roller coaster of death. Visit the body pit park. Climb over rubbery corpses for a lark. One rock, one indesirable fewer, one executive boulder, crushing the demos forever. Buy the ticket, take the lie, twist a fact, and win a prize. Orange, black mass. It's lovely when your daughter has a fine hot ass. Good time for democracy is a fun, fun time for the likes of me. Ride a
Mm.
tiny cart to the land of blown apart. How do you bleed? Gilded as charged. How do you
Wow.
burn? Red, black, and charred.
Mm.
So that's my poem.
Okay. I
My
like that. All right.
Trump poem. Because I take inspiration from a lot of different sources, including hip hop. Now, I have a friend, or I did have a friend um, that I also like had in my magazine. Her name is Terry B. Murphy, and
Mm-hmm.
she was with Eazy-E from NWA, right?
Oh,
And so
okay.
her songs are kind of like when she started out, she was the first white girl rapper who was literally able to, you know, rap as well as or better than NWA, which was incredible, and
Oh.
rap better than Cube, which is astonishing. You know, she's a very
Mm.
Italian woman, right? And
Is she still around? I
oh
never
yeah,
heard of her.
yeah, Terry B. Murphy.
Okay.
She had an album called The Power of a Woman, and the
Oh.
first video that they made, watch, look up Murder She Wrote because she had
Oh.
it was made.
Murder She Wrote.
She
Murder She Wrote. That one? Okay.
yeah,
Murder.
it was filmed. The video was filmed by the people who made Hollywood Shuffle, right? And
Right.
so it's a really cool video and it's hilarious because she's got Easy tied up to a chair.
Okay.
So anyway, Terry B. Murphy, she's
I'm
like
doing it
does a
right
lot of
now.
like heavy metal stuff and rock and roll stuff. She's done a lot of different
Okay.
things, and she's done some new hip hop albums,
Hmm.
and she's one of my. I mean, I am the world's biggest Terry B. Murphy fan.
Okay.
You know, because it's not about like so much the color. Like she can, it's about the, you know, like Rage Against the Machine is also one of my favorite bands too. They
Yeah, I
can
like them too.
right? So they're
Yeah.
really good, is skillful with it with rhymes, and
Okay.
and rhyming on top of rhymes. I like like building rhyme flapjack stacks.
Okay.
You know, where you got some rhymes and you got some rhymes, right? And then you got some flapjacks and you got some maple syrup. You got some more rhymes, and then you got a little bit of strawberries, and you put some, you know, whipped cream on that, and then you get some maple syrup and you just dig in and then you got some more rhymes on the top of that.
Okay. That sounds good. I like that. Okay.
Um, and then we have Don Kingfisher Campbell in the house, but
All
we're
right.
I mean, I can't see him and I cannot hear him. So hmm. Oh, um, okay, so
Here
oh
we go.
my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Hi.
He has appeared with a stack of
Oh
CD
yeah, Kilo.
albums.
What? LPs.
LPs, some of my favorite bands, Pink Floyd, Janis Joplin. You know, we have my dad, who's 87 years old. He has a friend who's still alive named Terry Garthwaite, and she had a band called Joy of Cooking back in the 60s and 70s, and she opened up for Janis Joplin.
Wow.
So, you know, and she's still around. Just look her up, like Terry Garthwaite, and
Okay.
she's got some great tunes. She sounds a lot like Ella Fitzgerald. She does
Mm.
a lot of you know, like scat singing stuff. Uses multiple microphones to get, and
Mm-hmm.
she sort of echoes, and she duets with herself, right? So she's got that. Well, just listen to it. She does
I
a
sure will. Okay. Thank you.
cover
Okay.
version of,
Yeah, I see it right now. This is interesting. Okay.
you know that
Wow.
song, you know, When I Get Low, I Get High by Ella Fitzgerald. She does
Yes, I
a cover
will.
version of that song. It's to be listened to. So
I will.
we do have, in fact, Don Kingfisher Campbell, the legend, the man himself, in the house with us, and we've been talking with the amazing Michelle Smith. And now we're going to be talking with the amazing Don Kingfisher Campbell. So I'm going to need to introduce him. So, so let's see. I just prepared this thing. Okay, so Don Kingfisher Campbell is a prominent figure in the Los Angeles poetry scene, renowned for his extensive contributions as an author, editor, and event organizer, and I've benefited from that um, very much. He is the editor of the Los Angeles Poets Society and curates numerous poetry series. Some of this information might be old or whatever. I sort of cobbled it together. So, you know, correct me if anything's out of date, you know, Don. Um, uh, including the Ruskin Art Club, Beyond Baroque, Cobalt Cafe. Well, that's Rick Lupert, right? And the Rap Saloon.
Yeah, that didn't sound like me.
Yeah. So sometimes, sometimes it gets it wrong with AI, but I use, whatever I use accommodations to help me. And Campbell's prolific poetic output includes works such as, well, so this is okay, the Saturday afternoon, it says the Saturday afternoon poets. It means um, how to become a citizen of the United States. Was that you?
No.
No. Okay. That was not you. Okay. Um, I'm just gonna, okay, so he is a committed advocate for the arts. I do think that.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
Yes,
Consistently providing platforms and opportunities for poets and artists to share their work. That is true. I can
that
attest
is
to
true.
that. He is deeply ingrained in the local literary community and is known for his dedication to fostering creative expression. So, welcome, sir. Um, and we've been talking about a lot of different subjects, but specifically the Orange Furor. And Michelle was just sharing a Trump poem that she wrote. I shared Trumpland, and it's just horrific what he's doing with cutting Medicaid and cutting social services and like, people and demonizing people who really are the heart and soul of the American workforce, which especially here in California, right, um, where much of our labor force is in fact immigrant and undocumented labor, and making, as Michelle said, making them sick, you know, and afraid to come to work. We're if he thinks that, that is a really, really good way to foster, um, you know, he's even losing his own MAGA base now. I mean, even within the last week or so, even his hardcore MAGA base has begun to turn on him because they realize that he's only in it for himself. He's only in it for Donald John Trump, and he's really like the ultimate narcissist. So, um, first of all, I didn't really want to talk about such negative things, but so can we? Okay, so Don, name one really awesome, amazing thing.
Judge said that he can't do that no more.
Yes.
Good,
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Judge said
good,
no. Uh,
good.
to which part? To which?
The apprehension of people. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Judge said
yeah, can't do that.
Good.
right. Yes. He is um I liked Michelle's Trump poem so much I had her read it twice. I
Oh yes,
Thank
I know
you.
this poem.
may,
It's on the website,
yeah,
Poet Place.
I may go for a third one if you're not careful. Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh.
Thank
Um,
you both.
so much fun. So I was just thinking, I mean, there's so many different things that connects us all in this community. And what's a beautiful thing about this, I was just looking at some of the overlap between, say, some of the authors that we have at Nocturnicorn Books, and then like Daniel Yaryan has, Mixed Mystic Boxing Commission, and then of course we have, Iris Berry with Punk Hostage, and then Anxiety Press publishes me and John Yamris and Greg Tomani. So it's really, and you do Four Feathers Press, right? So it's really
Correct.
awesome that, like Ellen Maybe and Nicole Six and I came up with a collective Paul or Pickles, right? And Pickles did, she was very
Mhm.
much a, strong aspect of this. And so, speaking of a collective, Paula, we're doing I'm putting out the I'm doing another edition of the disability rights book that started out as We Are Gregor, and I deliberately like I took that down and I reconceived it because I realized that I was kind of focusing on the negative aspects. And I was really helped by Lyric Rivera, neurodivergent rebel, who was just an amazing human being. We finally got them on the Small Bear and Pickle show, right? And just having their advocacy, not just for autistic people, not just for queer people, but just for everybody who's suffering
Right.
insanity, right? Just like what the F, like what are we even doing? Because this is America. We're founded by immigrants. We are a nation of nothing but. We are, what was really inspirational to me is did you guys see uh Modi, Prime Minister Modi of India, his address to Trinidad and Tobago?
Hmm.
I mean, that was just a piece of statesmanship. Like that was one of the most impressive speeches I've ever heard, political speeches I've ever heard, because he's forging alliances with, you know, like countries that you never even thought about, right? Trinidad and Tobago, you think, oh, there's little Caribbean islands. They're sort of like you go on vacation, they're resorts. There's a beautiful people, beautiful food, wonderful food and music and culture, right? But the really impressive thing I saw about him, about that was, here we have a brown man, talking to black and brown people
Hmm.
and white people too, and and he was deliberately, I mean, it's very, very much of a power move, right? You didn't hear any references to Trump, right? You heard about the global South. You heard about, you know, fostering not only forging relationships among, the former like third world, right? But, um, but, but, you know, um, being innovators in technology, right? And even in things like uh, AI and so forth, and I think what that the cool story, the good story that we never hear about, behind the scenes. Meanwhile, while we're watching the shit show, excuse my language, we're watching this
Hmm.
absolute shit show with Trump, and then meanwhile, the rest of the world, which does not consist of white people or white men, are they're forging alliances between themselves, and eventually it's going to be China, it's going to be India, right? It's not going to be the United States. And but the really good thing about this technology that we have now is we can be part of that too. I think we are
Hmm.
part of that not just the Rebel Alliance, but kind of like this, being powerful, men and women, and like Michelle and Dawn, who are leaders in your communities and very vital forces as far as, healthcare and poetry and the arts and community. So I'm just really, if there's any good news, right, it's us. We're the good news, right?
Right.
So, collective paw. And I want to bring Michelle on board with, a number of the anthologies we're doing. Um,
Thank you.
Dawn is, you're welcome. Dawn is also, has
Okay.
has pieces or pieces, in a collective paw, the anthology series. And
Hmm.
then what else? Did I invite you, Don, into the Bowie book? Because
Yes. I
yes,
don't have a poem yet, though.
you don't have a poem yet. Well, we're going to
Yeah.
have more than one volume. So the first one is coming out after we do a collective Paul, and it's going to have, all the big names, David J. Haskins and oh, Pickles and I were just on the John Majori on Bowie show, right?
Okay.
So that was amazing because the guy is he's a New York State commissioner, right? He used to work for Governor Cuomo. So that was amazing. I was looking at the books behind him. It's like, wait a minute, this guy he does this Bowie show as a hobby. So it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. So we really feel fortunate and honored to have like it takes Nocturne Books up to a whole new level. And so,
Mhm.
just Dawn, I haven't been involved so much I've been so involved with putting out the books. What have you been up to with like, Four Feather Press so I really, and also thank you. I get the opportunity to thank you, face to face for the Four Feather Press Print Poetry Award. It's very, very, kind of you.
Gee, that's what we're doing. Those are the good things we're doing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what poem I've got going in Collective Paw, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah, been a while, but
Yeah. So yeah, we also had the pausies with me and Ellen and Ron Whitehead, Nicole H. Six, and Emily Frank. We did the pausies award. So
Oh,
I
cute.
I was going to do more, but Emily was having some troubles, and then since you can't really do shows, and then and we've kind of like maxed out on Ellen maybe for like the next 50 years. So we did so many shows with Ellen, and so you're doing what's the next subject for the Four Feather Press and
the current calls for Watermelon Hughes.
Watermelon Hughes.
Yeah, Watermelon Hughes. That's Hues. Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking of like Langston, but
No.
no.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds similar, right? Okay.
When is that due?
Deadline is July 25th.
Okay, so Watermelon Hughes. I'm gonna write a Watermelon Hughes, but also I'm gonna put in some Langston because
Mhm.
as one does, right? Yeah. I mean, the thing about Langston Hughes, you always hear the raisins, the raisin poem. Like he had other poems, right? I got this whole book of Langston Hughes is this big. So, they always use the raisin in the sun thing. The guy was incredibly, not only was he like a major poet, one of the greatest poets that the United States ever had, but he was
Mhm.
also, have you read his short stories? Have you read like The Ways of White People? The Ways of White People is an amazing collection. I just,
He
yeah.
he wrote a poem that I put in Saturday Night Poets called I Too Am America, and I put that in the Saturday Afternoon Poets website, and I got responses from that. And that poem reflects that Black American and African Americans that grew up in a time. If you look at the photograph, I think it's a mother and her baby son, and I think it's from the early 1800s. I mean, late 1800s into 1900s. I'm not certain, but there's a flag there also, and it's significant. It's significant because I too am America. I'm glad I found that poem because I thought it signifies that it's not just one person. That we're all collectively of America, even though America's going through political hotbed, like I mentioned in the poem earlier. Hell, for this country will become hell in a handbasket. For America will become hell in a handbasket, and it has become hell in a handbasket under Trump. And I'm not just saying that just to say that, but unfortunately it is, and that's why I thought that poem was relevant. And I'm glad that I saw it because Saturday night. I keep on saying Saturday night. Saturday Afternoon Poets gives us a platform for the website gives us reign to submit poetry that's relevant, things that are important to us in this world as individual poets and prose writers and photographers and painters, as well as what we feel. And I appreciate that, Don, from you, for me in regards to what I contribute. And thank you for doing that, for that also. And I truly do appreciate that because I feel liberated and happy to create and write. And thank you. And I'm happy for that reason to be part of the SAP Saturday Afternoon Poets. You know, if it wasn't for Saturday Afternoon Poets, I wouldn't be talking to Alex Johnson right now. So there,
Ooh,
So
Exactly,
thank you both.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you both.
Exactly. Thank you,
Thank you,
Michelle.
John.
I
You're
mean,
welcome.
you know,
You're welcome.
Dawn hosted the first my like before I realized that I could do this too, that my the We Are Gregor reading, and that was
Oh.
last year. So that was, I don't know, that was a long, it feels like years ago. And then
yeah.
kind of getting all the warmth and support from Christina and all those amazing people on the show, Ellen maybe and all those people, kind of made me realize, hey, I could do this, right? If I can organize an event, if I can put together an anthology, hey, maybe I
Mm-hmm.
can do a podcast too. And I was actually Ellen maybe encouraged me, like she's always had great ideas, like every time she's suggested something, I take it seriously and I do it, because the very very first time that she encouraged me to do something, it turned into the Death Jazz
Mm-hmm.
2012, and then a poem from the Death Jazz was selected for this thing called Prying Deluxe Edition, which was about
Okay.
Charles Bukowski, and so I got into a collection with Charles Bukowski because, and it's ultimately due to Ellen, that she was just like, I would she never, I mean, you know the fact I was working for Cal State Dominguez Hills at the time, right? And I had a my co-instructor Melissa Williams. Do you know Melissa at all, Dawn?
What's the last name?
Williams.
No, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. She was really, um, really, really cool, and she told me that there was this amazing poet at Beyond Baroque who was really shy, and she giggles a lot, right? And I was like, huh,
Huh.
well, sounds intriguing. And so Melissa said, yeah, her name is Ellen Maybe. So I looked her up on Facebook, and I friend requested her. It was like that within a, within a few hours we were talking, and I was so impressed by the fact that she didn't have any kind of superiority. In fact, I had no idea at the time that she'd been published by Henry effing Rollins, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like she was just this person, you know. And so I said, hey, Melissa says you're awesome. Can you recommend anything that you've written that I might read? And she said, well, walking barefoot in the Glassblowers Museum is pretty good. A lot of people like that one. Um, so I bought that off of Amazon, and I was so blown away. I showed it to my dad, and he was blown away. And he studied with Harold Bloom at Yale, He was so blown away. We would sit down and at Pete's coffee shop in Torrance, and we'd read this thing to each other, right? And particularly, poems like Picasso, right? That one line, 1 calorie away from suicide, right? And I told her that I was working on this book that was called The Death Jazz, and it was just existed in a kind of a web form. And at the Outsider Writers Collective did I published a version of it. And she said, well, why don't you turn it into a full-length book, right? And I was like, you think, well, okay, why not? She makes everything seem obvious. So I said, okay, I'll do that. Before I knew it, I was at Beyond Baroque. I was reading from my book that I just published, and it was so empowering. I was like, and then we had people like Vanilla Flag, Vikali cheering me on. And I was like, hey, this is a really cool group, and that's how I met Marie Lecrevin. And then I started publishing with her, and it became this whole thing where over the last, it's more than a decade, I've met more people than I met you, Don, through Ellen, and then than I met Emily Frank. And it seems like I've known all of you for all my life.
Hmm.
It really feels like my family because I'm an only child. So I never really, and I was really shy and very introverted, still am. Um, you wouldn't know it, but I sort of had to develop these skills. And so it's a really beautiful thing where poets, it seems like they will accept you, they will accept you. Poets accept you. I mean, it's almost axiomatic. It doesn't matter if you're poor or rich or black or white or genderqueer or whatever you are, write some poems. Hey, let's hear them, right? Let's hear a poem. Okay, maybe you could play around with that line, or you could add something, take something out. But a poet, a real true poet, will never say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't do that." You should. Non-poets will discourage you because they don't understand what poetry actually
Hmm.
is. I mean, it's not just I'm preaching to the choir here, but I'm gradually understanding more about what poetry actually is. Poetry is also things like food, right? Poetry is like a comforting word or a pat on the back. Poetry
Hmm.
is just poetry is somebody not saying the critical thing they could say,
Hmm.
but they don't say that because they know that you don't need that right now. And poetry is having both of you on my show at the same time. That's poetry, right? It's it's magic. I think one of the things about poetry is sort of like showing you the magic of just ordinary circumstances, right? We're alive. We're we're fed. We're even if we're disabled, some of us are disabled, but we're not. It's like Pickle's poem, that's in the Neurospicy, that has the line, "No bitch, we ain't dead yet."
Hmm.
You know, it's "No bitch, we ain't dead yet." I mean, we're here. So I'm gonna shut up because I want Dawn to read some poems.
All right, yeah, that's what I was trying to recall which poems in Collective Paw so I could read it. But what was the poem? So we got to try to remember. Because it was originally going to be in We Are Gregor, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's what I got to remember.
Oh, actually, so a collective paw. So We Are Gregor turned into Neurospicy, and then
Mhm.
that gave birth, by the magic of Ellen Maybe, to a collective paw, the anthology, which is a kind of an unofficial sequel.
Mhm.
So is which is animal rights, but it's the
Oh,
same.
it's animal oriented?
It's animal oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I should breed something animal oriented then. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, what a coincidence that just got three poems accepted for Verse Virtual, and their theme this month is dogs.
Nice.
So I think I'll share those. We can do a screen share here,
Um, y-
or
you can. I can. Let me see. I'm not really like smart about that kind of stuff, but
well, if you didn't turn it off, it's probably going to work.
yes, yeah. You
So I'm
can.
gonna try it and see if it
You can do
works.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, first thing to do is bring up the poem. Let's see, that's this one. And now I try to share it. Oh yeah, it's working.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so here we go. Yeah, so they just accepted these. And the first one is the oldest one, and then the next one's a little newer, and the third one's new. So this is a poem that's a little bit haunting. It's called Thought I Saw Four Dogs on My Drive. Number one, Garfield and Oak. Rubber on asphalt, glance over to right, wisp of wind blows gray, fluffy fur of roadkill. Two, Garfield and Monterey. To the left on sidewalk, ponytailed woman tries to keep pace with large, curly white poodle on her leash. Three, Gravalia and Stratford. Man with shorts and his tethered brown bulldog stand behind low park chain link. Watch people. And four, gotta scroll this down, sorry. The 110 freeway. Wheels on concrete in slow lane, black plastic bag rolls, run over by passing car, keeps rolling. Again, that title was Thought I Saw Four Dogs on My Drive.
Ah, I love that. Yeah, I
It's a little bit subtle.
it is subtle, it is subtle. I like that. I like that a lot. It's kind of a little bit, I don't know, I almost want to say Browdigan-esque, but
I'll
what
have to tell you the truth. My inspiration was William Carlos Williams.
oh yes, very much.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow, yeah.
quite the minimalist, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, minimalism. Cool. Yeah, that's very nice.
And then this next one is probably self-explanatory. Ars dogma. Stop and smell the grass. That's my motto. Wait and feel the air, the ways to be alive. Let the afternoon pass. What's the rush to go home when you've got driveway and sidewalk to saunter? You can be a dog even if you only have two legs. So traipse back indoors because you want to. Go lap up some water, nibble some kibble, clean up tongue style, finish with a good nap.
Hmm.
Then rinse, repeat, retrace those steps you made before. What a life for a canine or any size being living.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hells yeah. Hells yeah. That's great.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually learned that lesson from a dog.
Which lesson? Because there's so many that yeah,
Well, the way I guess you would call it dog zen.
dog zen.
Yeah, it's how they live their life. So we were taking care of my wife's daughter's boyfriend's dog,
Wow.
and her name is Suki, and she's an old dog. She's like, ooh, 12, 13 years old, and she's blind.
Wow.
So that makes walking Suki quite an adventure. I got a lot of poems out of Suki. This is definitely one of them. And finally, from this trio of poems going into verse virtual in August, this one was inspired by a photo taken by that wonderful poet who's also a wonderful photographer, Alexis Rohn Fancher.
Yes, I know her well. Yeah.
Good person to know, absolutely, because she's great on both fronts. And so I have to admit, she and I both have a predilection for Joshua Tree.
Wow. Yeah.
I love going there because every time I go there, I get poetry just spews out. Even if I'm just looking at a photograph, it's Joshua Tree. So this is one of her photos. We'll let the poem do the explaining. You'll figure it out real quick. This poem's called Rock Dogs.
Rock
This
dogs.
stone pack don't go for walks. Happy to measure the distance between piles and freeway. With two Joshua trees beside, no danger of getting urinated upon. We've got all time to experience the changing of days every day, from light sky to heavy air. We're content to let life happen and feel the aging process slowly transform us into each other through eons of interchange.
Mm. Yeah. Eons of
It's
interchange.
got a little resonance, yeah.
Yeah, and it also makes me think of freeway interchange, right? It's eons of interchange. That's
Yeah,
great.
you write enough poems, you get lucky with phrases, that's for sure.
That's for sure. So could you send those to me, or do you have permission to use those in more than one book? Or
Well, I will have to just give Verse Virtual credit.
okay, great. Yeah,
They published it first, yeah.
lovely. And that reminds me, I need to I don't know why I never thought of this before, but I need to ask Ellen if I could use what's her her dog poem that's like famous dog poem.
Well,
The
I'm not as well versed in her titles, honestly. She has so many.
I know, right? It's just
Yeah,
prolific. I think it's in Cowardice of Amnesia.
amnesia. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say, hey, Ellen, could you send me the dog poem? That one.
And make a note of it right now so you don't forget.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I would be remiss if I didn't read a couple poems about my father because today is the 40th anniversary of his death. So just a coincidence that I would have this platform on this very day. Want to use it? I'll share these two poems. They're pretty heavy duty. Give you that warning in advance. Let's see. I had those. Oh yeah, now I know where they are. I published some books on a website. So this is a book of older poems. I just want people to be able to read them if they wish to read them. So it looks like this. No, I'm looking at email. Are you looking at email?
Yeah.
Okay, I clicked the wrong box. Let me try that one more time because they give you so many boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, come on, get it right this time. There, now that's right. Okay, so this is a website, has my mostly 20th century poems. My father died 40 years ago in 1985. And
Wow.
the first poem I ever wrote about him, I wrote it in 1995, 10 years after his death. And it's called, Don't Let This Disturb Your Eyes. No, that's not what it's called. I'm just telling you. It's called, well, that's about him too. Wow, I got three poems now that I think about it. Do things in threes tonight. Um, well, I'll do the heavy ones first, then I'll do the non-heavy one last. All right, so this poem is called Bamboo Discipline. A belt, a coat hanger, a rolled up magazine, a shoe, a strip of Hot Wheels track, a plastic wand with a magnet on the end to move figurines, a wood paddle with a hole drilled into the center, painted blue for weeblos, and a bare hand with a size 12 ring.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Poem was originally called Discipline, and I showed it to my older brother, and he said, "You forgot the bamboo."
Oh, shit.
So I made it the title.
Okay.
Yeah. He would have us go in the backyard because there was bamboo in the backyard, and he said, pick out a stick. And of course, we would try to pick the smallest stick we could find. And what he would say, oh, that's too small. Get a larger one. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this was considered normal back then. This was the 60s. They used to be able to hit you in school. That was
Mm-hmm.
perfectly permissible back in the 60s and early 70s for that matter.
Right. That's right. With a
Yeah.
paddle. Right. With a
Yeah,
paddle.
yeah. It's so funny. My sister had the same science teacher I had in junior high. He was the eighth grade science teacher, and I had him in 1973. She had him in 1975. Well, that law passed to no longer allow corporal punishment in schools in 1974. So in
Wow.
73, uh, Mr. Castro, who had a copious beard, and he wore a white lab coat, and he always used a microphone in class. And if you interrupted him once, got in the way of his lecture just once, he would have you come up to the front of the room in a big wood paddle, tell you to
Mm.
bend over, whack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in business back then.
Memories.
That too, that's gone. That needs to be implemented back. Because no, really, because it it's important. I mean, none of that stuff should have gone away in the first place. I'm not pro corporal punishment, but I'm respect in the classroom because
I'll
now
tell
it's
you
outrageous.
definitely, I vowed I would never hit my children, and I never did. I might have yelled at them once or twice, and that's a mistake too. Okay, so this other poem starts with a T. Too many of those here. There we go. It's called Things My Father Taught Me. The NBA playoffs don't mean shit when you're vomiting up your own shit. A final score of 117 to 107 doesn't compare to weight loss from 235 to 85 pounds. When
Hmm.
you're lying in bed with cancer, you no longer possess the ability to hit creatively your children. You still have the power to refuse the purchase of adjoining graves. On his last bed, he was a weak spider, once a man, with hours inhaled of freeways, cigars, asbestos, saccharin, mixed drinks of 58 years. And so, because of him, I continue to work on being different. And then, rather than be all negative here, I do have a positive poem as well. That was right next to the other one. I know that poem really affected my good friend Kellocky so much he remembers that poem. All right, getting to the D's here. There's 125 poems on this website. These are all old poems. Talk about self-indulgence.
Not really.
Okay.
No. I don't think there's
Yeah,
something.
well, we gotta get our stuff out there, right? And so this is the nicest poem I ever wrote about my parents. It's called Back to the Future. I wish I could have ridden on my great uncle's junk truck when my teenage dad, with my teenage dad, we could have struggled to carry rusted ice boxes and flat tires through the depression together. I wish I could have snuck love poems in my mother's purse when she was in a different high school each year. We could have played Back to the Future.
Hmm.
Instead, I have given change to every storefront solicitor I've seen and verses for all dark-haired women kissed. I have been the combination of my parents more than half a century.
Wow.
Okay, so those are the dad poems. Thank you for letting me share those.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are profound. I mean, those are profound. I would love to I want to I mean, they're represented, but I want to find a place for them. In fact, the perfect place, Lacrimae, the grief book. Yeah, which was actually Emily Frank suggested it. Yeah, I would definitely love that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, that's poetry is good therapy.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
and it's also it's incredible. I mean, like I just want to sit with that for a second. I just want to sit with those images and the thing about the spider. Could you repeat that line, that stanza about the spider?
Yeah, that's the one that caught Kaloki too.
Yeah.
Um, See, I have it right here, so I should be able to just bring it right back up. So, yeah, it's the long stanza. It says, on its last bed, he was a weak spider, once a man, with hours inhaled of freeways, cigar, asbestos, saccharin, mixed drinks of 58 years. That's because of the incredible weight loss that came from intestinal cancer. I mean, he was a big man. He was 6'2", 235 pounds, big hands, size 12 ring. That's a big hand. And another poem I relate mine is 6.5. Uh, so that's really captured it because he was just so still and tiny, and he was never that before. Yeah.
And that is a profound, you know, phrase, last bed, on his last bed, you know. Like I had my uncle, my dad's brother, Tom Johnson, and his wife Doris preceded him. They were in their 90s. Last year, I believe, because it's been a while. Well, the brain disease is also, I don't really have a sense of time accurately, but they were so my Aunt Doris, who was, was they were uh Mormons. Okay, they're Mormons. And she was really the Mormon one. And
Mhm.
so she developed dementia, and they
Mm.
were living in paradise in whenever the fire hit. And I remember that day. And so she had dementia. They only had time to get the cat. The flames were licking the sides of their house. And then they got in his car and they drove away through a wall of fire, you know, and just the, you know, imagining what it must have been like for Doris, not knowing, when you have dementia, obviously, you know, everything is scary, right? And to experience that. And then my uncle, Tom, he was in so much pain. I mean, I forget exactly the cause, but he developed a opioid habit, and he nearly, like, there was this woman who was, it was just really sketchy, horrible, convicted felon. We found out that she had been trying to kind of manipulate him, and it was really try to, you know, connect him with a corrupt doctor, and she was working with this corrupt doctor, trying to get my uncle more hooked on junk, and we read her the riot act. I mean, we it's like, I have no, I mean, we have I don't even like these people, right? But my cousin Jennifer, I mean, JJ Summers, Johnson Summers, who is MAGA, and I can't stand her, but she was married to this, former military cop, right? Military cop. And, at the time when I discovered that this woman was trying to, not only she, Tom was even saying things like he was thinking about marrying her. He was so needy. He was junk needy, right? And I was just, I was, I mean, I was about ready to, call up, the Earl, and say, hey, you know, could you pay a visit to this woman? You know what I'm saying? Because that's the kind of situation where you got somebody who's like a just rotten, she was a convicted felon. I mean, she'd done time for drugs, and she was trying to manipulate my my uncle, and get him involved in some shit, So it's really sad and just hurt, my heart just, you know what I mean? It's your family. It's like,
Eh,
fuck these people. I'm sorry, use the language, but it's just, you have no right. These are old people. These are, they're vulnerable. How dare you, right? How dare you? And so then my aunt passed, Doris passed, and then my uncle passed last year. And it just reminds me, because it's very poignant. It's a very poignant and powerful thing, death is. But also you see people who were so thriving. I mean, my aunt was a beauty queen, right? They met when she was like, she was very like 17 or so, right? She was a beauty queen. And then, you know, now they're a memory, but they're a good memory, right? And poetry, I think, can keep things alive and keep, or both transform, in a way, like transform the trauma, like with Bukowski, right, with his trauma. And I think I don't know how you feel about Bukowski, Don, but I think there's
Kowski.
a little bit of a
Yeah.
parallel there between you and you know um yeah, yeah, it's pronounced Buke, rhymes with puke. And so, I, speaking of
Well,
which,
the number one thing I learned from him, if I can
yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah,
uh, he wrote for himself.
right,
And that's a really good lesson for a poet to learn, and you got to satisfy yourself. This poetry is for yourself. And if anyone else likes it, that's the frosting on the cake, right? But the reason you're making poetry is because you want to, like you say, you want to remember a feeling, something you felt, and poetry is a way to capture that. And so years later, decades later, you can read a poem, takes you back to the story, right? Like a song does that too. A song will take you back to a moment and you'll remember.
yeah,
True, that's right.
But a poem, whoa, helps fill in the blanks in case there are any blanks because it's such a long time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What I just more and more and more, it's it just the truth of that poetry is really what makes civilization run. Now, whether or not you think of it in traditional terms, but I can think of so many different ways in which poetry is, it can be like, you were referencing Williams, right? That famous
right.
found poem about I ate the plums or whatever it was, right?
That's extremely famous. Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever read his wife's reply?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Flossie. Her name was Flossie.
yeah. Yeah, and he was
Yeah.
more to Ginsburg, right? So that was incredible kind of passing of the torch. And I think that Ellen is really kind of the contemporary, well, she's the first Ellen, maybe. She's founded her own, it's maybeism, right? But I mean, I can see a case to be made for her as the, art,
Put her in
as
the pantheon. That's what you're saying.
in the
Yeah,
pantheon.
I agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not it's not a controversial statement, and
Yeah.
if anybody wanted to challenge that, they'd have Henry Rollins on their hands. I mean, good luck with that shit, right?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
And how many poets can say they read at Lollapalooza?
right. You
Yeah.
along and how many poets can say that they had a packed um gig at Glastonbury when U2 was playing,
Yeah.
right? Like,
That's right.
it's just mind blowing.
Well, I can say one thing that is true for her and for me.
Mhm.
We both worked at Beyond Baroque.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So were you in an event? What were you do? What did you do exactly?
Well, I'm using semantics right now because I did work at Beyond Baroque, but I worked for California Post and the schools at Beyond Baroque. We had an
Okay.
office there in the 20th century.
The 20th century, oh dear.
Yes, it was a while back.
Oh my gosh. So,
But that's where I learned about Ellen Mabey, working
yeah,
there in 1993.
yeah,
And I saw one of her very first chapbooks, the very interesting cover. It was called Man's Best Friend. And on the cover was a real dollar bill taped to the cover.
that's badass.
Yeah, that's Ellen.
I want to show you, I want to show you something. Okay, this is unbelievable. Um, and I bought it off Amazon, a third-party seller, and when you see the inscription, you're going to flip out. Okay, this is obviously Emily Frank published published this and edited it, right? Twisted Cadillac.
Bill.
Hmm.
But this was okay. Look at the dedication. Let's see that, right?
All right.
What
Very
are
cool.
what are the odds that I bought this copy, right?
Oh, that's
Totally,
really fortuitous. Yeah.
right? That's S.A. Griffin.
Karma bumps.
That's Karma Bumps.
Yeah.
Bumps, man. And then there she is. Don't kidnap me. My parents won't pay.
Hmm.
Oh my.
Right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, we used to be young. I remember.
The giggling songstress of the spoken
Yeah.
heat.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. I'll have to just
Um,
take a screenshot. That's what I'll do from this
yeah,
show.
right. Did you know Dominique Lowell at all?
No, I'm sorry. Who's Dominic?
Oh, Dominique Lowell. Okay, so um, I'm just thinking of the number of people that I know, and a couple of them that I've published who are in
Mhm.
the Outlaw Bible,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah, I had a copy of that.
Right. I knew Iris Berry. I read alongside Iris Berry. I know you did too. And then I think you did, right? Yeah, right. Um,
Sure. Well,
yes,
a
right.
long time ago, but yes.
Long time ago. Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
as well as oh, how I knew Dominique Lowell is a really interesting story. So back in this goes quite a ways back, but there's this, do you know Renee Diedrich? Have you ever heard Renee Diedrich?
Not ringing a bell on that one. Sorry.
Yes, she was I'm really surprised because this is, I guess it didn't get as much play as I thought it did. Okay, so you've seen the iconic photo of Iris holding the typewriter that belonged to William S. Burroughs, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that was taken for How Dirty Girls Get Clean. And
Hmm.
the woman who put that together was named Renee Diedrich. And
Oh,
right, she worked for LAUSD. She was also a poet, right? And you did too, right? And
yeah.
and
That's why I did that.
right, and she and I did briefly. And she worked at Banning High School, where I was assigned from Cal State Dominguez Hills because I was on a lull. I couldn't get any jobs teaching college at the time, so I decided to get my teaching certificate in high school English, right?
Understood.
And I was right, and I was assigned to Banning High School, and I'd been I've been corresponding back and forth with this woman. She's kind of crazy, but whatever. Renee Diedrich, and I published
Hmm.
something called the Schwibly, where I had people like Tequila Mockingbird in it. I had Ellen Mabey in it. I had, um, I think Merritt Walden was in it, and Murray Lecrevant, right? And and then this woman, Renee Diedrich started. We started corresponding, and she sent me this thing called a Valentine for the Widow of Rock and Roll. And
Hmm.
so I edited and I published it in the Schwibly. and then you can look it up. It's on her website. The Art Soldiers, whatever, Liberated Front, whatever she is, she called it. So now, so she knew Iris, she knew Jerry Stahl, right? The novelist who wrote Permanent Midnight. And she and Jerry Stahl and Puma Pearl and Fiona Helmsley and Lydia Lunch and something or other, Linda Berry and Dominic Lowell and I
Sure.
got together and we did something called the Dirty Girls Collective. And I was like the honorary dirty girl of the bunch. And so it was mind blowing. I look at my copy and this day it freaks me out that I'm quoted like three people down below Jerry Stahl, and Renee called me, Alex S. Johnson, educator, English professor, poet, novelist, and no, it's like poet, novelist, and over medicated English professor, aka nipple clamps. And I was like, what the actual fuck? Renee, why did you label me with this horrible label?
Oh
You
my
Mm,
my.
you know nothing of my proclivities, such as they are. And so
It
then
was a different time. I don't know.
different
Yeah.
time, I don't know, right?
I don't know. Yeah, yeah. That is curious. But I do want to say one thing, if I may.
Yes,
I
yes.
am feeling guilt because I got to read several poems here and I haven't heard Michelle. I want to give
oh,
Michelle equal
Yes.
time.
Equal time for me.
oh,
Yeah. And my
thank you.
reward for this will be I get to read two poems after you read, Michelle.
Okay,
How's that sound? Is
that's
that okay?
fine. Any particular subject matter or anything that my own choosing
Well,
or
you know what I missed because I thought this was starting at 8:30. I thought when I got on at 8:20 I was early, but I wasn't. So I missed a poem that apparently Alex heard twice.
yeah, he asked for it twice. That was very yes, he did. I
Yeah.
can
So
really
I don't know if you feel like reading it a third time, but it would be a first time for me.
Yes.
I'll be
And
glad
then
to.
whatever you want after that, you know?
Sure, just a moment. I'll be glad to, just a moment. Thank you very much, both of you. I do appreciate that. Just a moment.
Oh,
All right.
it's a goodie. And remember, people, go to LA Poets Place. LA Art News, that's what it is. LA Art News, Poets Place.
Mhm.
And you can see her poem, but right now you can hear it, right?
Okay, I'll do it again. All right, third time is a charm, right? Third time is a charm, especially for the political times. He's not my president. He's not my president. God help America, for it will become hell in a handbasket under the United States of America, under his felonious leadership, his felonious and fascist leadership, for he is a troubled, tyrannical, racist, repugnant, unintelligible, misogynist monster pig. He is a buffoon in the navy blue two-size small suit, rotund white shirt belly, and MAGA red necktie, all dressed up for that all-American McDonald's Big Mac Happy Meal. Don't forget that blonde haystack, toupee hairdo. It seems to be pasted on. What a Looney Tune! The commander and thief pontificates conversation with that big apple accent that one day I will visit again, all fat barrels, and take a bite. Crunch. Does he even know the three branches of the government? Can he even pass the U.S. citizenship civics test? With his narcissistic ways to circumvent the patriotic red, white, and blue. His winning is Trump's hangover. America, under his leadership, will need more than a four-leaf clover. President 45, 47, and MAGA Part 2, supporters of the sheep, bad, bad, and voted him in. The worst Gemini on the planet. Sheep don't complain when Trump pins into law a life of comfort, cause, and change you once had and is now slaughtered, especially for the voting apathetic that chose not to bother. Oh, what a mighty web we weave in order to deceive. I repeat that. Oh, what a mighty web Trump weaved in order to deceive. Trump and time will tell, and the United States shall see the Estonian nation's flag waving. Red won the battle. Blue will win the war. Democrats are the donkey. Republicans are the elephants, but Trump is a true jackass. For he is not my president. And he still is a troubled, tyrannical, racist, repugnant, unintelligible, misogynist, monster pig. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, I don't get tired of that poem.
Wow.
That's great.
Thank you.
But tell us how you really feel. That's so good. So, you got any other poems you want to share?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm guilty here because I shared like 6 poems.
No,
So,
you're no, it's fine. No worries, no worries. I my subject matter. What should I read about? Sad, sickness, illness, disability. Well, let's see. I worked all day today, so
oh,
you mentioned dementia earlier today, so
yeah. Actually, Alex did. Yeah.
yeah. So I wrote one a while ago. Just a moment, and this is a double acrostic poem, which means that you read it from the bottom to the top, and you get the same wording. It's called double acrostic, but it goes like this. It's called dementia. Do you know? Do I know how to care for you, my beloved? Eventually, I cannot bear that you won't know me. My God, did genetics play a role to play him or her? Encourage me to be love, life, and strength for the for easy the embarking on this journey will not be. New ways to teach you. Will it last longer than the tenacity of a terminal illness as we age? You and I, a vision not. Intelligence you never lacked. Your towels and plaques synapsed. For others to dismiss you as done. Do not know how to wish you well. With memories, place, and stimuli. Alone, I am not. Family, support groups, for 1-800 for the owls is just a phone call away. Dementia, DEMENTIA, has 7 stages and is not a melodrama or telenovela.
You know what I love about that poem, Michelle?
What?
And you know
Yes.
I experience these things. Acrostic poems are usually 1 word per line. I mean, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I love an acrostic poem where you take as long as you want to take. That's why I love this poem.
Thank you, Don. Thank
Yeah.
you. I have worked with seniors who have dementia, and that's another aspect of life I would like to speak about at one point. I've written poetry about caregiving, and you mentioned, I know you mentioned your father and his 40th anniversary. So sadly, at this place where I work at, it'll be 5 years next month. I did have a lady who did pass away. I'll tell you about it. The poem is called Thanks to Jane and Me. Thanks to Jane and Me. Her eyes were as blue as the London blue topaz and tourmaline green, depending upon what she wore. Thanks to Jane and Me, cantankerous in personality, she told the truth, like it or lump it, when I served her meals in her room. On good days, she would eat much food. On bad days, she had the blues. Arthritic pains in the knees, her oxygen nebulizer treatment providing breathing relief. Thanks for Jane and Me, for your eyes are the wonder of your soul. Your hair is your crown and glory, for the Bible tells me so. Her hair was snow gray, with wisdom of many years. Shoulder length and the softening of her age appeared. at age 90 plus. At times, she would put up a fuss. Why are you here, and what do you want? A med tech would reply her name and say, it's time for your medication. I'd say to her, it's for your life celebration. Thanks to you, Jane and me. Her eyeglasses exaggerated eyes of wonder and of tiredness. She beamed with pride as she told stories of her grandchildren, her blooming rose garden and Hungarian goulash, the kind that's made from scratch and not a hamburger helper box. That's how you feed a man, honey. It's through a man's heart in the stomach. Thanks again, Jane and me. Her gut was not always free of illnesses. Chemo and radiation plagued her with nausea, and strands of her hair brushing came out in clumps. Sadly, her gut thinner gained out of lumps. The pain revealed that even a pull-up hurt her. The Lord one morning took her as she slept in her lazy boy easy chair. She was warmly covered in a blanket self-knitted years ago. Quietly, she left, and the gentle wind from her room's window was cold. Was that her spirit leaving the room? No more hospice nurses to provide a bed bath. The curtain and the wind ended her soul dance. I'll miss Jane and me. Many lessons I was taught. Longevity has no price, and illnesses are the cost. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, me.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
my favorite
sadly, there was
poem read tonight. That's a fantastic poem.
thank
That's a
you.
reason. That's sure Alex will agree with me. That is a reason to write poetry.
Yeah. Very
Mhm.
much so.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And sadly, that is a true story of someone that I did help at my current employer. She did passed away after 2 months, and I've been a senior living. Well, it's not that name anymore. Now it's called Ivy Monica at Santa Monica, and I worked in the throes of COVID. I've seen active dying. It's I yeah yes. So sadly, that is based on truth. I have another one that really made the woman pissed me off. When I started working there, her 18 years versus my years. It's called envy, or this woman's work. Envy. Envy colors my mind and paints thoughts of comparison. It's bad tasting medicine, poisonous venom in my veins, paralyzing my tomorrow's brand new day, comparing who I am and who I am not. I want to stab my boss like a tree twig, break that strumpet in half. Honestly, I value my freedom beyond my workday. What a newsreel! What a newsreel! I cannot even afford the prison bar's life of cost. Jesus, take the wheel. Placated in my own mirror. I am the captain of my have and have nots. I want to breathe fresh air and positivity. Her 18 years versus my 1.5 years. I too serve a purpose in residential care. Envy, go away, never come back. I'll file you in the library catalog card, your energy I desire to lack.
Wow. That's another reason to write poetry. It's good therapy. We said that before.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Sure
is.
is.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
One day I saw somebody um bug somebody on the street, and I saw this. Not that wow, this is deep. It has nothing to do with residential care, but somebody that I heard from a window in my neighborhood,
Hmm.
and I just happened to see literally a fire in the street. It's called Full Tilt. Full Tilt. He is abusive and abrasive. Powerful smack of the hand on the tap of the ass to a clap of his fist, and the thunder rolls as in Garth Brooks. No snap, crackle, or pop from Rice Krispies without the milk. I'm skating in water so fast I cannot keep up the pace. I'm drowning in my own tears. My eyes are a pugilist's face. I can't escape the flush of destruction, and from a plunger, my breath has been suctioned. I cannot breathe. I don't believe. I cannot see. I don't perceive. The lights are on, but no one is home. Where is my shelter in place? My home sweet home. Lock me out of my heart. 2 tickets to paradise. Is this his show or mine? Who was the puppet? Who was the marionette? Who writes the rhyme? Snap, crackle, and pop. Without the milk, here we go again, full tilt.
Is that all true?
Yeah, this one here. One day, I mean, I would come home a certain time, and I heard that I went there's a window, and I heard. I mean, this man was. I said, "Am I seeing things?" I saw the window, the apartment across from where I was. My apartment. Said, "What is going on here?" And it happened more than once. And I don't know what. I said, "Wow." Somebody. And I saw police cars across the street. I worked from 2 to 10, but I saw this during COVID. I mean, this apartment across the street. I'm not sure what happened, but eventually the couple was eventually thrown out because their stuff was put outside once. All the stuff was put out discarded in the front yard in the apartment complex across the street. I said, "Wow," and I kept thinking about and there's a video by Garth Brooks and the Thunder Rolls where if you've seen the video called The Thunder Rolls, the girl is getting beat up by an abusive boyfriend. That's where that came from. I mean, because he's dressed up in a nice suit and she's all pretty and everything looks nice and good, but it just goes on to show you that what's on the surface behind
Oh.
closed doors.
Mm.
And yeah, so that was sad. I wrote a lot of poetry when I started working. I still write poetry from my experiences there, that job, but I was really in the thick of it because that COVID, I mean, oh God, like I said, I saw after that. It's a lot. And I know when I'm reading, there's a place for this poem is on your blog spot in your booklet. With different things. Not This is not all related to watermelon hues, but anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
Thank you.
power to your doing this, right? Because this
Thank you.
is it's not just good for you, it's good for us too.
Thank you.
Yeah, so glad you're getting showcased here today. We're
Me
going to
too. This is
showcase you again if I can do a commercial. Is that okay, Alex?
Of course.
Let me sure. We're going to be well, there's a couple of events I want to tell people about. We're going to be showcasing Michelle amongst some other poets on August 24th
Yay.
in Pasadena
thank you.
at a event where we're fundraising for California Poets in the Schools. And then, actually before then, oh, I can't believe I got the order wrong. Do you know Radomir Vashtek-Luja?
I wrote him. I didn't friend him, but I sent him a DM. I haven't heard back from him.
Okay, well, yeah, he's in a
Yeah.
convalescent home, so he
Yes.
doesn't come
Yeah.
back right away.
Ironic. I mean, it's a coincidence. Yes, that's true. And
Yeah,
yes,
so
that is true.
I'll talk to him because I'm helping him book his event
Okay.
August 2nd in North Hollywood. He's putting on this thing called Verse Aid, right?
Yes.
And he's giving each poet 10 minutes, and it's a fundraiser for the fire victims
Right.
who have been recovering for 6 months now, and it's still a long way to go.
Sadly, it is. That's awful.
Yeah. So you want to be part of that, right? Am I correct in understanding that?
I would like to. Yes, I would.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
make sure he knows. We'll get you a time slot. And that's really all the commercials I had there.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you.
Yeah. So it'd be great to see you at those two events.
I look forward to that. Thank you.
I was just remembering why I brought up Dominic Lowell because
Yeah.
because so Ellen is kind of known as Allen Ginsberg's daughter, and Dominic Lowell was known as the Janis Joplin of spoken word.
Oh,
and she was also had her work in um do you guys mind if I read her poem? Um, because it's she died, and it's the reason I brought it up. I can't believe that I didn't recall why I brought her name up in the first place.
oh
See,
yeah, let's hear it.
because
Mm.
I had she had blurbed my book, The Death Jazz, which John Shirley and Ellen did as well. And
Mm.
then I was going to go out and see her read at Beyond Baroque, and I couldn't get a ride. And I remember it was raining, and that was the last time that we were in touch, and she was really disappointed that I couldn't come out to see her. And then I
Oh,
just found out more recently that she died in 2017, which was like even earlier. Like I had my friend, um, did you know Jordan Gallagher? Jordan Gallagher, she was a friend of Suzanne Lummis, I believe.
oh, Suzanne Lewis.
Yeah, and
Know
and
her.
she was a major poet. She died in 2020 of a
Mm.
fentanyl overdose. So,
Oh, wow.
so this is one of the reasons that
Your blood thinner,
Okay.
level up, and eye drop.
Oh, I can do that.
Okay.
I'll do it myself.
Okay.
so
Injection?
Yeah, I can do both.
Oh, okay.
so
Is there any more Jello?
Yeah, Jello, yeah, I can
Thank
take
you.
it for you. No
Thank you.
problem.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll do it.
Here,
so I wanted to read Dominic Lowell.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um, what I love about this book is everything is sort of
Let me
divided
get a Jello for you, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
in sections. Um, so I'm trying to excuse my. Oh, we got
Hope you find it fast. Yeah.
well.
Oh, and hear it. Yeah.
David Amram and Mark Olmsted. I've published Mark Olmsted in the Bauhaus.
I knew Mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
went to a Peter Gabriel concert once.
damn,
Yeah, big fan. We're both big Peter
I,
Gabriel fans.
I love Peter Gabriel.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
just
very easy to like.
I saw him act
He's the Ellen Maybe of prog rock.
right. He's wonderful. I saw him at the live thing. Um,
Twist it.
yes, very much so. So just bear with me. It's just a second here.
Yeah, I hope you find it. Do you want me to read a poem in the meanwhile?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Yeah.
I hope you find one because I do have one I want to read because it has to do with Verse Aid, which I just talked about. This is the poem that I wrote about the fires because I personally knew 15 people who lost their homes in these fires. So each line of the poem is something one of those people experienced.
Okay.
And it's
Thank
being
you so much.
published in the Altadena Poetry Review. So I'm very happy about that. So I'll just quickly read that poem here. How do you screen share again? Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So next time, do that before you put this back.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can end up
Oh.
poking yourself.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, without placing this one,
Yeah.
if
Okay.
you push it,
Okay.
the needle
Well, that
comes
makes
back.
sense. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much.
Use
Are you there,
the-
Michelle?
Yes. Thank you.
Michelle,
Yes, I'm
are you
here.
there?
Hi.
Yeah, okay.
I'm here.
I just wanted you to hear this. Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay,
will
so this
definitely.
poem is called New Definitions. Okay. And
Okay.
did you hear that I said each line is from a different person who lost their home in the Eaton fire?
Yes, and you said you know more than 15 people who lost their homes.
Oh, yeah.
Sadly.
15. Sorry to say.
That's awful.
New definitions. The word sky is toxic, ashy brown heaviness in lungs. A key in pocket for something that isn't there anymore. Baked, the feeling of being proximate to burning wood frames. Tree, a blackened ghost frantically waving branches in wind. Steps lead to empty view of smoky concrete and pointed chimneys. Lost means having to sleep in a hotel room with donated pajamas. Past memories are stored in mind instead of photo albums. Cars wait in parking lot line for food and other necessities. Art is what remains of creations as pulp or charred ceramic. Home and job have become distant places and wish of replacing. Dog
Mhm.
helps find ashes of a loved one previously earned. Money is needed more than ever, so please go fund someone. Poetry has not changed and is still evidence. Mind follows heart. So
Wow.
Wow.
those are people.
Yeah.
Those are people.
Wow.
People.
That that's deep because there's the sad symbols of what happened. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
It's really happened.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Mm-hmm.
did you find the poem yet, Alex?
Yeah,
I want to hear this poem.
that is very, very powerful, and it's kind of has an ironic resonance with this poem that Dominic Lowell, had in the Outlaw Bible of American Poetry, and
I donated my copy to the Sims Library of Poetry.
oh wow,
Ooh, wow.
It's
so
there. It's there.
so like dig this, the poet that comes before her is Brownigan, right? So Um, Dominic Lowell, bike messenger leading the people. Rest in peace, Dominic Lowell. Um, an anarchy poem. It's Devil's Night in Detroit. I burned my own house down because it ain't my house, it's your house. Your shit. Your shit. Your shit. Incitement to riot. Burn it down, burn it down, burn it down, burn it down, burn it down. There's so much paper. Burn it down, burn it down, burn it down. The kindlings there, the fuel for the fire would glow, burn, beautiful orange licking flames, paper, paper, paper. It's all just fuel for the fire, the big bonfire. Violence against buildings, violence against property, the ultimate act of rebellion. And I'm going to build me a guillotine at one Samson right by the wall, right where it says the sharper image.
Hmm.
Grab these fuckers by the hair, drag them by their power nooses, and chop their lousy heads off. It's French Revolution time. Burn it down. And there will be a huge, famous painting of me, bike messenger leading the people. Yeah. 43 years, she said. 43 years I was chained to a desk. 43 years I pushed around rubber bands and paper clips and Xerox memos. 43 years. And I hated every goddamn minute of it. Now I drink in cheap bars. Now I wait for my landlord to sell my building so he can toss me on the street.
Man.
43 years of all that paper, paper, pushing paper, of being an appliance part of the hardware, the interior decorating. 43 years of being
Hmm.
no one for a paycheck. Well, you know what I say? All these buildings, the skyscrapers, all that chrome and glass filled with all that paper. Well, we could have ourselves one hell of a Molotov cocktail.
Hmm.
All we need is a little gasoline and just one match. Light the fucking match. What are we waiting for? All these people in their starched white shirts who act like they own the street and the sidewalk and the fucking world because they do.
Hmm.
Burn it down, 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 burn it down. Goddamn pigs, goddamn clogs, goddamn termites, goddamn ants, goddamn drones in my way. I am lost in the forgotten guts of dead office equipment souls. Jesus came to the marketplace. Jesus came to Market Street and he said, burn it down. All you buyers and sellers, he said, burn it down. You profane my world. I am riding my bicycle through the den of lepers, and I am trying to remain unscathed. And me, well, I'm a white slime maggot. I was fed television and Twinkies and the scroungy ethics of depression children parents, one who couldn't throw away a piece of wilted lettuce, one who buys crates of the finest just to watch it rot. We are the refuse of a decaying system. We are products of decay. But oh, the fragrant, twisted beauty of death, the rollicking waltz to be danced. Come on, come on, come on. Light the match.
Hmm.
Ooh, timeless even today.
Wow.
Dominic Lowell, rest in peace.
Hmm.
2017.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I'm running out of time here, honestly.
So am I. I think that was
Yeah, likewise.
just a nice way to, well, actually very, very apocalyptic, maybe.
Well, yeah, it was like connect the dots tonight, right? We had He's Not My President,
Right,
new definitions, and now
right. We're
the
talking about
fire.
the fire.
That's a deliberate fire, though. That's
That was
the
more
one that should have been set. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really great. Really
very.
great. Thank you for this opportunity, Alex.
Thank you, Don,
Alex, thank you.
Michelle.
Thank you, Don. Thank you both. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. And could we have like a collective squeezins? Because that's a ritual here.
Okay.
What are we doing?
A squeezy hug.
Like
You know,
this?
Electric hug? Yeah.
just a squeezins.
Like this.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Break.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Love you
you.
both, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Look forward to it. Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Both of you. Good night.